Hello everyone, welcome back to Sparkle English. Today we have a punctuation practice. You must punctuate these 10 sentences. Let's begin. Number 1. While I enjoy hiking, biking and swimming are also great. Okay, in number 1, we have to add a comma after hiking. Now this is not a list of 3 items. So we only add a comma after hiking because while I enjoy hiking is a dependent clause that comes before the independent clause, biking and swimming are also great. So just one comma after hiking and we complete the sentence with a period. Number 2. He moved to New York. That is a big change for him. In number 2, we have 2 independent clauses that are joined together without proper punctuation. So we have to add a semicolon after New York, and then we complete the sentence with a period. We can use the semicolon because these 2 independent clauses are closely related. You could also add a period after New York and then capitalize that to make 2 complete sentences. Number 3. Before we start, does anyone want to add anything? Okay, in number 3, we must add a comma after start. And that's because before we start is an introductory phrase leading into the main question. Does anyone want to add anything? And because this is a question, we add a question mark at the end. Number 4. They're going to their cousin's house across town. Okay, in number 4, I decided to trick you. I incorrectly spelled there. It should not be T-H-E-R-E. It should be T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E, which is a contraction for they are. They are going to their cousin's house across town. Cousins must have an apostrophe before S, and that's because it is showing possession of whose house it is. And finally, we end the sentence with a period. Number 5. Please buy the following items: sugar, flour, and strawberry jam. Okay, in number 5, we have to add a colon after items, and that's because please buy the following items is a complete sentence. It's an imperative sentence, and it's introducing this list. If the sentence was, please buy sugar, flour, and strawberry jam, we would not use a colon. But in this case, it's introducing this list, and it is a complete sentence. And then we have a comma after sugar and after flour. This comma before and is optional. It's known as the Oxford comma. And finally, we must end the sentence with a period. Number 6. Watch out for the car, my mother yelled. Okay, here we have to add quotation marks around watch and car. Watch out for the car. And that's because this is something that my mother is yelling. It's a quotation. We also will end watch out for the car with an exclamation mark because you can assume she is exclaiming it and there is strong emotion because of this word here, yelled. So that goes inside the quotation marks, and then we end the sentence with a period. And before we continue, if you want more help with punctuation rules, make sure to check out my 16 Punctuation Rules ebook, which you can order by clicking on the link in the description below. Your order also helps support this channel. Number 7. To make lemonade, you'll need lemons, sugar, and water. Okay, first we'll need a comma after to make lemonade. And that's because it is an introductory phrase. It is setting up the main clause. You'll need lemons, sugar, and water. We'll also need an apostrophe after you because you'll is a contraction for you will. And then we have a list of 3. So lemons, comma, sugar, comma, and water. Remember, the comma after sugar is optional. It's the Oxford comma. And finally, we end the sentence with a period. Number 8. Dad, can we go to John's house to play board games? Joe asked. Okay, here we have to put quotation marks around Dad, can we go to John's house to play board games? And that's because this is a question that Joe is asking to his dad. After Dad, we have a comma, and that's because we are directly addressing Dad. It's the vocative comma. Dad, comma, can we go to John's house? Here we put an apostrophe after John because it's the house that belongs to John. And then I added an error here. Board games should not have an apostrophe. And that's because it's not possessive. We're talking about the plural noun, board games. And I forgot to put this question mark in green, but this should be green because we add a question mark after games. This is a question. Dad, can we go to John's house to play board games? Joe asked. Number 9. David wants to move abroad, but he hasn't made a decision yet. In number 9, we add a comma after abroad, and that's because we have 2 independent clauses joined with a coordinating conjunction. And we must add a comma before a coordinating conjunction when it joins 2 independent clauses. Then we add an apostrophe in hasn't because it's a contraction for has not. And we end the sentence with a period. And finally, number 10, and this is a more difficult one. On our trip to Europe, we visited Berlin, Germany, Paris, France, and Rome, Italy. Okay, in number 10, we first have a comma after on our trip to Europe. And that's because on our trip to Europe is an introductory phrase that we must separate from the main clause. And in the main clause, we have a complex list. So what that means is normally in a list of 3 or more, we just add commas. However, if we only added commas in this list, it would appear as if we were talking about 6 different places, and really we're talking about 3 places. And because of this, we add semicolons and commas in complex lists. So we visited Berlin, comma, Germany, then a semicolon, and that tells us this is only one item. Paris, comma, France, another semicolon, and finally, Rome, comma, Italy. So this can be a little difficult, and I have a lesson on semicolons in complex lists, so make sure to check that out on my channel as well if you need more help. So let me know in the comment section how many you got correct out of 10, and if you had any troubles, you can also let me know as well. Make sure to subscribe for more English lessons like this one, and I'll see you all in my next video.